am reviewing the new Broadway musical, The Notebook, with music and lyrics by Ingrid Michaelson and book by Bekah Brunstetter, directed by Michael Greif and Schele Williams, and choreographed by Katie Spelman, running at the Gerald Schoenfeld Theater at 236 West 45th Street in New York City. Please note that I have a Patreon page where you can, for as little as $1 a month, support my channel and my podcast, Yesterday's Matinee. Coming soon to my Patreon page will be copies of some of the print reviews I had written back in the day. Before I was doing this, I used to write for a newspaper. It will also include some interviews I've done with people like Kristen Chenoweth, John Leguizamo, Terrence Mann, and more. So if you're interested in reading things like my notorious review of Beetlejuice, become a patron. I'll leave a link in the description.
What kind of book is it?
It's a love story.
Hey, I'm Noah.
I'm Allie.
I love you, Allie. I loved you then and I love you now.
I'll put this right up front. I'm not big on sentimentalism. It's just not what interests me when it comes to the arts, so I came to The Notebook with a fair bit of dubiousness as to whether or not I was going to enjoy it. The Notebook, based on the book by Nicholas Sparks, which was adapted into a film in 2004, is chock full of sentimentalism, and depending upon your own feelings about such things, you'll either enjoy The Notebook or feel like you were injected with so much saccharin that you'll need to be tested for diabetes afterwards. I jest, but not by much. There's a market for this kind of show, or else it wouldn't be produced. And actually, after leaving the theater, I thought The Notebook was fairly good. Yes, it is replete with romantic proclamations that will tug at the heartstrings with plot elements that have spawned hundreds of cliché-laden Hallmark films. But Ingrid Michaelson, Bekah Brunstetter, Michael Greif, and Schele Williams have constructed a musical that, though it does saturate the audience with predictable romantic narratives, also has a degree of honesty that I respect and admire. Set in a nursing home, Noah, played by Dorian Harewood, is with his wife Allie, played by Mary Ann Plunkett. Allie is suffering from dementia, and Noah looks to reconnect with her by reading the titular notebook, which holds the story of their budding romance. This is revealed fairly early in the first act of the musical, plus the staging and costuming of the opening number, Time, makes it pretty evident, so I don't consider it a spoiler. As Noah reads the story, we flash back to two separate time periods, the late 1960s, where we meet Allie and Noah at their youngest in the story, played by Jordan Tyson and John Cardoza, respectively, and the late 1970s, where they are played by Joy Woods and Ryan Vasquez. The 1960s section tells of Allie and Noah's first meeting and falling in love, followed by the inevitable class conflict, as Noah is working class and Allie comes from a wealthy family. Her parents, credited here as just mother and father, played by Andrea Burns and Charles E. Wallace, want her to have nothing to do with Noah and go to great lengths to keep them apart. In the 1970s, Noah has returned from a stint in Vietnam, and he and Allie reconnect, both thinking that they had abandoned the other for whatever purpose their lives have taken. It's all broad romantic storytelling, and Michaelson does a great job at having the score play with the audience's sensitivities along the way. I'm not really familiar with Michaelson as a songwriter, but the closest thing that I immediately relate to sonically is Coldplay, but with a fuller, broader Broadway orchestration. It's actually a rather nice, robust, romantic score. Personally, of the three narratives, my favorite is of the older sets of Noah and Allie. It feels the most realistic to me, but I lean more towards realism and naturalism, so tragic romance narratives like Nora and Allie's hit me emotionally more than stories of newfound romance and reconnected romance where the conflict feels more artificial. The audience didn't seem to mind one way or the other, as by the end of the show, at least half of them were reaching for their tissues to wipe misty eyes. So who am I to argue in that regard? As for the performances, Marianne Plunkett and Dorian Harewood are stunning. Harewood's Noah is full of impassioned determinism and love for his mentally floundering Allie, whom Plunkett plays with a delicate balance of sweet oblivion and confused horror. The two other couples do well with what they are given. I particularly like Joy Woods, who I also enjoyed in I Can Get It For You Wholesale. Woods is proving her musical theater talent, giving the middle alley a beautiful array of mixed emotions with hope, fear, passion, and confusion surrounding her as she tries to determine her future between Noah and her fiancé Lon, played by Chase Del Rey. The older Annie doesn't sing until the end of the show, so the middle and younger Annies end up being her voice from the past, and some beautifully directed moments by Greif and Williams in the first act with my favorite musical numbers, What Happens and I Want to Go Back. The duo's voices are marvelous together, and their acting soars with the music. David Zinn and Brett J. Banakis have designed a marvelous set with the skeleton of the house that Noah wants to renovate as the frame of the overall set design. There are scenes in a nursing home, a hospital, and several other locations that move in, out, and around this centerpiece. Then there is, of course, the famous rain scene that everybody's probably seen in clips and commercials. So there are some water elements downstage that fall into play as well, which are also nicely done. The Notebook isn't a show that was written for me. It's too sentimental for my taste. But if you or someone you know loves tear-jerker stories in the classic romance novel fashion, ripe with passion that tugs at your heartstrings, you will probably love this show. Or that person you know may love this show. It's well executed with excellent performances. I should note that if you have a friend or family member who suffers from Alzheimer's or other form of dementia, this may be a difficult show to get through. My +1 for the show had recently lost a family member from it, and the Notebook hit her pretty hard. But she also found it uplifting and really enjoyed it. So there's something also to be said about the therapeutic nature of the arts here as well. I'll leave you to your best judgment in that regard. But I am only one man's opinion, so be sure to leave yours in the comments below. If you'd like to see the Notebook, I'll leave a link in the description where you can get tickets. Also in the description will be a link to my Patreon page where you can support my channel. You can also support me by liking, sharing, and subscribing, and click the notification bell to be alerted to future reviews. My next review will be Eddie Izzard's one-person performance of Hamlet. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you at the theater.